Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Monday, March 22nd, 2021. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES. You'll notice right here, this is the FOMC date from last Wednesday. I've yet to mark the level right now, but you're seeing an initial reaction to the downside away from that level. Right now, we are inside a bullish ascending Pima trigger zone, which means we could pop out of that zone. But even if we pop out of the zone here, unless the bulls can reclaim 39.50 here or so, we may see another push back downward toward the midpoint of the key range here. Price ran right on up and is now at risk of returning back to kind of where it came from, and it could come all the way back even as deep as that 38.10 level, which is right around the previous close. So right now, looking like a bit of weakness away from that level initially. We could see a return back up to it, which could lead to a bounce further downward toward 3,800. Overall, this market has remained strong, so even despite these pullbacks, we have seen an ability for price to really respond forcefully from the lows, as we've seen over the last several rotations. So right now, while we may see a little bit more short-term weakness, there could be again another major reaction that leads us much higher. On an intraday perspective, keep an eye on the previous closes. If price can continue to hold above the previous close, we could see a bit more upside here in the near term. All right, let's take a look here at the NQ. Now, taking a look at the NQ, you'll notice that this one had a sharp reaction as well to the FOMC key date and key level. We saw the initial push downward. The other thing you'll notice here is that price can't get above this 13,325 zone. That's right at around the midpoint of this key range here, the broader impulse wave right there. And again, the failure to get through that zone right there just suggests that there's hard resistance in that area. And again, every bounce into the pivot range for the month continues to be rejected. So even if this thing were to bounce up here, bulls would need to reclaim 13K at the very least in order to continue higher. And from an intraday perspective, keep an eye on the previous close as well, as any return back toward that zone could provide a bounce until proven otherwise. All right, let's take a look here at crude oil. Crude oil with a significant pullback here. This is the biggest peak to trough pullback we've seen in a while here. This has been a very strong unidirectional market since November, the beginning of November, and that's where it really turned and really went forcefully higher. Ever since we've reached the upper end of that market structure, we knew to look for a return perhaps back to 59 to 60. We've gotten a move as deep as 58.28s now. So that's deep enough here for this market to perhaps turn right back around and retry 68s. You see kind of an expanding range developing right here after price just recently took out these lows. This is an extreme reversal signal straight from my book, Secrets of a Pivot Boss. And right now, if this thing breaks through 62s, it could open up a pretty forceful move to the upside, whether it's today or later on in the week. And that return could at least take us back towards 65s and then perhaps through and into 68s. All right, let's take a look at gold. Now, gold has been able to hold those strong lows here. 1670 held as a very good low, which basically mirrored right in this zone right here. Very good area of support, the last line of defense before it would have really dropped much lower. Overall, price remains below the 1770, 1765 zone. It continues to see lower value relationships here with the pivot range, and every time it hits into the pivot range, we're seeing a little bit of a pullback. So even while we're in a short-term uptrend here, this zone right here, 1760 to 1770, could provide another opportunity for bears to defend and perhaps push this thing lower. Acceptance back above 1770 would open up a return back toward 1875. All right, that is it for now. We'll see how this plays out heading into the rest of the week. Good luck, trade well, and I'll see you in the trading room. Take care.